Hello, and thank you for watching this October 31st Halloween weather update brought to you by Agrible, the makers of Morning Farm Report. My name is Eric Snodgrass, and I'm a senior atmospheric scientist and co-founder of Agrible. With the 2016 harvest nearly completed for the Corn Belt, our attention turns to next year. Winter's precipitation is key to starting the 2017 growing season, which is why I am starting with the latest map of U.S. drought. Starting in the northeastern United States, some of this drought was relieved last week after this map was produced, as rain and snow moved through. Then on Sunday, a line of strong storms pushed through from D.C. through southern Maine. In fact, here's a picture of one of the shove clouds on the leading edge of these storms. Well, the Northeast needs this rain, but not nearly as bad as parts of Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, and Mississippi. Repeated, persistent ridging in the jet stream over the Southeast has diverted storm systems around these states, and as a result, it is now in one of the worst droughts that this region has seen since 2006. Historically, drought in this region tends not to spread north and west into the Corn Belt, but it is something to be watched as peanuts, cotton, and other crops have been adversely affected. Speaking of the Corn Belt, only patchy drought mainly in the western Great Plains has developed over the last month or so, and this might be impacting winter wheat planting in these states. But overall, the central part of the United States is drought-free. This is a very good sign going into winter, because if we get through winter without the development of much drought in the central plains, in the Midwest, we tend to have a strong planting season and a better crop for the following year. But turning our attention finally to the West Coast, incredibly heavy and persistent rains have all but eliminated drought in the Pacific Northwest, but California has a really long way to go to end its historic drought. The good news is that the jet stream of the Pacific has been very active over the last 30 days, and we are now seeing the southern branch carry more moisture into the West Coast. This region of faster winds is often referred to as the Pineapple Express, as it often flows along a trajectory from Hawaii to the west coast of the United States. So far this fall, the northern branch seen here has been much stronger, which is why coastal locations in Washington and Oregon are at 300 to 600% of average rainfall over the last few weeks. As you will see throughout the rest of this video, we need to watch the Pacific Ocean closely in the coming months for the first sign of change to more late fall and early winter-like conditions. Well, as of Sunday, that onshore flow through California was dropping quite a bit of rain and snow at the higher elevations. This image was from Soda Springs, California, along I-80 north of Lake Tahoe on Sunday night. Skiers will certainly be happy to see this stuff falling. Well, getting back to the forecast, this is what I'm watching closely. This map shows the 500 millibar height anomalies. That basically means we're looking how the thickness of the atmosphere is distributed across North America. Troughs are found where the atmosphere is cold and dense and therefore more compact, and ridges are found where the atmosphere is warm and less dense and spread out. Let's watch what is happening upstream first. Notice how over this week, the Aleutian low is quite strong. That feature is what will help the formation of a large ridge in the central United States. Now this ridge is what every trick-or-treater wants, which is warm, dry weather for stuffing buckets and bags full of candy. But Halloween is only one day, and patterns like this can sometimes take weeks to break down. Let's see when we might see that change. Well, moving forward, notice how the troughs on the west coast start to migrate to the west. This allows the ridge to move west too. By mid to late November, the jet stream wave pattern is now indicating a broad trough forming over the eastern half of the country. The impact will be a return toward more normal temperatures, even potentially cooler temperatures here. Well, how certain am I of this happening? Well, the last 6 model runs have shown this same pattern emerging toward the middle to end of November. The longer range models from both Europe and the United States have also shown this for some time now. But with all these forecasts, there is uncertainty, and this fall has shown us how summer's persistent warmth has tended to hang on longer than expected. We will be watching this closely since it could mean a very cold second half of the month of November. Plus, this would be a huge deviation from last year, which was very warm in November and December. So what about this week, though? Well, here are Halloween evening's temperature anomalies. Look how the central United States is well above average, while the coasts are a bit cool. A weak cold front does come through later on in this week, but that only knocks temperatures back toward average for this time of year, and that will only be temporary cooling, since the ridge in the jet stream reforms again. That is the primary reason why the NOAA Week 2 temperature outlook is calling for such warm conditions across the United States yet again. Well, turning our attention to rain this week, this is the total accumulated rainfall map from the GFS through November 6th. Rain is forecast to spread across parts of Oklahoma, Nebraska, Missouri, Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio, Wednesday through Thursday. But the strong ridge in place over the southeastern United States, well, that keeps the drought in place as this region will be quite dry this week. Now, the West Coast continues its rainy streak, and several locations along the West Coast in Oregon and Washington will actually set a record for the wettest October since records have been kept. Well, now let's look a little bit more long-term. There will be a lot of talk in the coming weeks about the influence of La Niña on the U.S. winter weather pattern. Well, this map shows the current sea surface temperature anomalies, which are differences from normal, and it also shows the very weak La Niña in position here in the Central Pacific Ocean. Even though a La Niña is occurring, it is not strong, and is therefore a smaller player in our winter weather in the United States, as well as the spring and summer in Brazil. Now, just to compare these sea surface temperature anomalies to the last really strong La Niña we had, this map shows you the October 28, 2010 sea surface temperature anomalies. The La Niña of 2010-2011 was very strong, and that La Niña caused massive drought and heat in Brazil and played a much bigger role in the cold and stormy weather we had in the United States. Remember how the price of soybeans was above $15 due to the grains shortages coming out of South America? Well, I wouldn't expect that from this year's La Niña, given how weak it is. Now, that doesn't mean that weather patterns in Brazil can't cause stress on the crop. It simply means La Niña won't be a major factor. Well, here are the next 7 days of accumulated rainfall in Brazil, forecast by the GFS. Most growing regions are recovering soil moisture content well during this planting season, and the next week continues that trend. During big La Niña years, the southern growing regions would be very, very dry. If this continues, though, expect bigger yields from Brazil yet again this year. Well, as always, we at Agrible aim to bring you the latest and best weather forecast information through our morning farm report so that you can efficiently plan your operations. We thank you for your attention and hope you look forward to our next weather video update. Thank you.